Man, what's
Okay,
going on?
sure.
Hold on. The countdown ain't even going, man. My bad, y'all.
Okay, it's like we recording, the countdown ain't moving. That's
Man.
that return of Antonio Pierce with the clock.
Right. Clock management, bro. Come
He's like,
on.
hold up, the clock ain't. The clock stopped. Like, call
Don't say that,
timeout.
man. They gonna get on you, Severe. They gonna get on
I know, but they get like, Severe doesn't like anything about the Raiders.
you. Damn,
Nah, man.
Hey, just fast forward and listen to me, man. That's what you do.
Exactly, right? That's what listen to Mike. Man. Clock in.
Again. Let's
Yeah,
go.
make sure to clock in, hit that like button, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, all that good stuff, man. Here we go.
Great Pharaoh. The gift of Troy is a fabulous fabric from the land of the 5 rivers.
Years ago, when we came to Los Angeles, I really believed that the greatness of the Raiders would be in its future.
One of them hits now. Heard back from Earth, they just shot a few of my ships down. It's safe to say I'm totally pissed. Wow, my cloaking devices just malfunction. Guess it's time for a sit down. This is the problem I got with humans, mostly the common man. Constantly fucking with energy they don't understand. Always thinking they got the upper hand. The G-forces from my maneuvers can snap your spine like a rubber band. I shouldn't waste my time, they ain't half as nice. Put a Red Bull in your coffin so you ghosts can have wings in the afterlife. Let's rock and roll like a belly dancer's rhinestone. It was my idea to shake the pineal gland like a pine cone. My thoughts create hurricanes, tornadoes, and cyclones. A punch for me is like an avalanche of granite and limestone. You live here, but now this is my home. I neuralize both your retinas. You wake up staring at the screen of your iPhone. Confused by the light plus the high tone. And now we connected from the microchip I placed next to your thigh bone. It's hard to understand cause your mind blown, but I gotta cut communication. Your government just scrambled they spy drones.
That voice is speaking Sumerian, the oldest language in human history.
I can't explain it.
What's going on? What's going on? We back. We back, man. The return of Mike, man. What's going on, Mike?
Man,
Here?
refreshed, man. Refreshed.
Man, hey, look, the vacation must have been nice, bro. You got the new beard and everything, man. I see you, bro. Like, hey,
Yeah, man. Yeah, a couple shades darker too, man, you know.
Man, that's make yourself more susceptible to black on black crime.
Oh, man.
No, but hey, man, what's going on, everybody? Make sure to click and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, all that good stuff. You're going to be seeing this on all of our channels, so you want to make sure you like, comment, subscribe to all of the channels. Man, we got some stuff to talk about, man. Hey, the Raiders scheduled release happened. We gotta go over this new schedule. We knew we knew the teams that they're gonna play, but we didn't know when. And that we officially found that out. Also, we're gonna get into comments of the week, all that good stuff, and then also, hey, Mike, mini camp. We didn't even get a chance to talk to you about mini camp. AP was able to talk. We haven't heard from AP. I mean, we talked about it, me and Severe, but obviously we didn't hear your thought. We want to hear your thoughts as well. But let's get into it, man. Like, actually, let's talk about the latest of what's going on with the Raiders. And what the latest news is actually Dwayne Joseph, the pro personnel guy for the Raiders the last 5 years. He leaves the Raiders and he goes to Detroit. I don't know if you know too much about him. Do you think this is something that you expected to happen, especially with Telesco coming in, or because he's been with the team for 5 years? He was hired on, I think, with Mike Mayock. I think Mike Mayock is the guy that brought him on initially. But he stayed on after Mayock left, obviously with McDaniels. But I guess, man, maybe he's seen writing on the wall. I don't know. What were your thoughts, man, on that, man?
It's a little concerning, just a little bit, just because the timing of it. You know, it's like, okay, the draft already passed. You already did free agency. Everything is, you pretty much got the squad already. It's all about the formalities at this point. I mean, you pretty much got your full 90 on board right now. It just seems that, like, why now? I would think that maybe a couple months ago that would have been the move to make. So that is a little bit concerning. Like, is it a difference in philosophy? Is it what's going on behind the scenes? But it might just be like a better opportunity. Maybe a promotion that was presented to him and you couldn't resist it at that point. I can understand that, but the timing of it seems a little bit off to me, but I'm not going to be too concerned. I mean, it's right. At this point, I mean, the squad's already there. Hopefully this doesn't mean that, there was a difference in opinion, difference in philosophy or something like that, but happy trails to him and good luck in Detroit.
Yeah, man. Yeah, Severe, man. I don't know what were your thoughts on it. I know that they usually when with scouts and personnel from the previous regime, they don't leave until after the draft because the new regime actually needs them. They need people in the building because they already have the infrastructure built already. But eventually they want to get their guys in the building. And, obviously getting their guys in the building, they're going to have like, they're going to be scouting. They're going to have to – it's just going to take time for them to get settled in. I think Telesco hired one of his guys from the Chargers, Wooden. I think JoJo Wooden, I believe. So maybe that might be a sign why Dwayne Joseph left was probably he's seen like, hey, this guy's here to replace me. You know what I mean? Like, or I'm gonna get a demotion or whatever the case may be. You know what it is. New regime comes in, the existing people are on notice. Like that's just the nature of the business, man. That's what it is. But he was able to survive 2 regimes. But hey, good luck to him. What were your thoughts on it, Severe? I mean, do you think that you think it's a big deal? You think it's a big deal, or just one of those just formalities you're gonna get? Telesco just wants his guys in the building.
Yeah, it's one of those things that was bound to happen. Telesco had already kind of hinted towards it as well when he's been kind of hinting for a while now. There's going to be some changes to not only the people in the building, but to some of like the operations as well, and how they run free agency, how they run scouting. So with that change, you expect there to be some people that are let go and some other people that are brought in. Dwayne Joseph, that's the guy. He's been around the block, man. He's worked for Chicago. I think he was actually at one point up, for the GM job in Chicago. He worked in the Eagles organization as well. Yeah. And Dwayne Joseph probably was like, look, there was a team that chose to select Terrion Arnold and chose to select Ennis Rakestraw. It's like I'm going with those guys. Like, yeah, I'm gonna and they have a quarterback too. So he's probably like, look, I'm gonna go where the grass is greener. They're kind of on the upswing. So he probably and right now it's probably hard. It's hard to find those openings too. He was gonna get let go. He was bound to get let go by Telesco at some point. The writing was on the wall, kind of as you said. So if you can find a job, especially, it's an organization right now it's kind of buzzing, they're having some success. You can kind of, really make your name for it. If the team continues to do well, generally a rising tide lifts all ships, man. So if you're a part of that team, that just lends you, more opportunities going forward. So that they see you're part of that winning formula, then that could potentially lead to an assistant GM job, maybe a GM job for him.
Yeah, and one more thing, man, because I don't want to sound like what did Mike say the last time? I had some mic issues.
In the Pringle can.
It sounded like I was talking into a Pringle can. Hey, can y'all hear this?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, cool. All right, for sure. All right, well, we don't want to spend too much, man. It's pro personnel, gal. Like it is what it is, man. Telesco, new GM, wants his guy. But that being said, Mike, man, I don't know if you're able to catch up, maybe hear some things about minicamp. I know you were on vacation, enjoying your time, but I'm sure you probably took a quick peek at what was going on with the Raiders. But AP was able to talk. I don't know if you were able to get a chance to hear him talk. Even Spillane recently. I know you checked that out. If you want to tell the people what your thoughts on that that podcast interview with Max Crosby as well. But what were your thoughts, man, on what's going on with the Raiders lately?
They really believe in the philosophy that they're trying to set forward right now. I think that the Raiders are finally finding that identity that we've been waiting them to get in Vegas for quite a while. And it seems more like a blue collar type of mentality. I do like the fact that they're kind of keeping a little bit of Oakland in their DNA as the years go by, as they continue with the Vegas, and that blue collar mentality is gonna be the reason why they're successful this year. And I do like the fact that Antonio Pierce is in there. He's really instilling that, kind of like scrappy bunch of guys coming in and really making a big impact at every phase. Like it's a bunch of guys in there that like Spillane, he was undrafted, when he first came in, and he earned his keep, and now he's a captain on the defense. Those are the type of guys that it seems like that they're looking for. Jackson Powers Johnson, he's a true Raider at this point. He has that same mentality where he's kind of scrappy, and he wants to get at it and punch you in the mouth and that type of deal. There's no frills with this Raiders team, man. That's what it seems like, and you got to really give the credit to Antonio Pierce and bringing the right guys in, and not just picking just a bunch of dudes, but guys that can fit into what they're trying to do. And I think because of that, they're going to be pretty successful in the next coming years.
Yeah. And just to be clear, because I know there's going to be someone in the comment section saying this, It's not a mini camp. It's a rookie mini camp. So not all of not all of the players on the team were there. Obviously, it was just the rookies, the young players on the team, maybe some guys trying to make the team on a tryout basis. Mandatory mini camp is June 11th to the 13th. So that's when the entire team actually gets together, and we'll probably see how it looks like. And sometimes, you know, when they get together in those mini camps, and after the mini camp completes, they realize, okay, we might need a trade. We might need to pick up a guy in free agency. We might need to trade for a guy. You know what I mean? And the other day, I'm gonna bring this up because I want to hear your thoughts on this, because me and Severe talked about it the other day. We talked about Jared Goff getting that huge contract. Yeah. And him getting that huge contract pretty much tells us that they're pretty much committed to this guy being the starting QB for at least for the next 4 years.
Yep.
Which means that you got a young QB, second year in the league, who was covering from an ACL, but was one of the top QBs in college, or he was at least a Heisman candidate before he got that ACL tear. And he's about 25, 26 years old now. So he's, like, me and Severe agree, like, he's not getting any younger. So it kind of makes sense for the Lions to possibly trade him while his value is kind of high right now, especially with teams that might be. After that mini camp happens, the Raiders could be like, you know what? Maybe we should add some more young talent to this room, you know, and see what happens. But what are your thoughts on that, man? Hendon Hooker. That's the quarterback that we're talking about. Right. Hendon Hooker. What are your thoughts? Do you think the Raiders should look into trading for him, or, you know what, at this point in the offseason, we should stick with our guys?
I think at this point you stick with your dudes. You know, if you bring in a guy like Hendon Hooker, he's got to learn the entire offense in June. And in that situation, you're kind of behind the 8 ball in that situation. You could roll with a Gardner Minshew if I'm assuming that you do a trade and you trade Aiden O'Connell, because I don't think that you would keep Aiden O'Connell alongside a Hendon Hooker. You know, it to me, that doesn't make any sense for that to happen. But I think at this point, they're 100% backing Aiden O'Connell for him to be that guy, and he's going to get a legit shot to start. Now, if he stinks it up 100%, then he's going to be a backup, and that means it's Gardner Minshew time, and you're going to deal with that next year. I don't think that they're going to deal with it this season. I think that they're going to put him in a backup role. He knows the offense to an extent. Maybe he's not the starter that you really hope for him to be, but you got a guy who's familiar with the offense, who's been working on that offense for months now at this point. So to kind of start from scratch, I know hasn't been that much of a difference. That hasn't been that long. Mm-hmm. So you would think that you would want to start from the, you know, if you're going to do that, rip the Band-Aid off as soon as you can to get the other guy on board. But I think that they still are going to back Aiden O'Connell in that situation. And if he stinks it up, then he's just a backup at this point.
Wow. So you're saying that the Raiders shouldn't even consider it at that point in the offseason with.
Not this year. Not this year. I think that if that does happen in the scenario where that happens, you maybe you go back to that next season to where you can start
for a fourth, fifth rounder, for a fourth or fifth round pick. You wouldn't do it.
I mean, so does that include that you still have the 2 other quarterbacks there?
Yeah,
because in that situation, there's too many men there's too many guys in the room.
3 quarterbacks. Anthony Brown. I think that's the guy's name. I don't remember the guy's name.
Yeah,
we have
so
3
like 4 quarterbacks in the room.
4 if you can consider Bradley.
But Anthony Brown and Bradley, like they could just be there just to hold the clipboard. You know what I mean?
Put some respect on this name.
I'm just being honest. They're gonna the majority of the snaps are gonna go to Minshew and AOC.
Undoubtedly.
But if you get a Hendon Hooker in there, you know, who knows? That might be a guy.
And that's the thing. Like Hendon Hooker is there's a lot of questions with Hendon Hooker. There's a lot of questions. I mean, what are you getting from Hooker at this point? You know, is he a starter? Is he that guy that everybody kind of, you know,
Sorry,
was
I
kind
couldn't
of
help it.
wait, what happened? Oh,
So you said, where you get it from Hooker at this point? I said an STD.
man,
That's the $1 million question, huh?
there you go, man. But it's like, are you getting the same guy that was tearing it up before he got injured a couple seasons ago? Are you getting that same dude, or is he just? There's too many questions. What we do know is that Aiden O'Connell knows the offense and he knows what's going on, and to just have another guy just for the sake of, kind of finding lightning in a bottle, to me it just doesn't make sense this season. I think maybe next season, if things don't work at the quarterback position, then you go ahead and look at that again, and maybe you trade Aiden O'Connell, and depending on what the situation is, maybe an additional pick or whatever is going on, depending on what Aiden O'Connell does. And if he totally stinks it up, then he probably has no value at that point, right?
Yeah.
So
I think and I know Sphere probably could chime in on this too as well. I think I don't think it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I think an aggressive GM would probably look into it and try to make it happen.
Yeah.
Because from a Lions perspective, they don't mind waiting until preseason to trade him, because they actually want to put him out in preseason, showcase him, increase his value, his trade value, and then eventually trade him for a higher pick, because he was picked in the 3rd round. So I think for them, if they get 3rd round or higher at this point, it's a win. Even a 4th or 5th rounder. I mean, like, because at the end he's a 3rd rounder. Like, it's not, he's 26-year-old quarterback, and if he's not part of their future plans, like, they're gonna get something out of him. But I think it works in their favor if they can showcase him in preseason. But if that happens, that means his value is gonna go up, his trade value. Because if he's killing in preseason, and we see a great arm, we see the athletic ability, you know what I mean, which we don't have at quarterback. We don't have a quarterback with a big arm and that's mobile. We don't have that on the roster. But I hear what you're saying. You make total sense. But Severe, like, I know we talked about this on Monday, but I'm noticing, man, like, I'm getting a lot of pushback from some people in Raider Nation. I mean, I know we on the same page, but like, let them know, like, what because it makes sense to me. It makes sense to me. You know what I mean?
Pharaoh wants to go to the unpopular guy about the unpopular opinion, and like Severe, nobody likes you. What do you think? Like,
go ahead and turn the volume down on this situation.
Mike broke it down like smoothly. He basically said it's going to be late in the offseason, and you already have 2 quarterbacks. It makes a lot of sense, but I'm like, the talent, the ceiling, if you're getting it for a 4th, 5th round pick,
exactly,
like,
I mean,
it's tempting, right? It's tempting.
I look at it like this: Hendon Hooker was drafted in the 3rd round last year, right? So he already had at least 3rd round value at the bare minimum, right? Because that's where he was drafted. So if you're getting him for a 4th or 5th, you're already saving at least 1 whole round of value already. And then you look at it like even further, right? The only reason he fell to the 3rd round is because he was coming off an ACL and people knew he wouldn't be available that first year. Really, he's a late 1st, early 2nd round value. So then at that point, you're saving 2 to 3 rounds worth of value on that particular draft pick at a premium position. So it like that makes tremendous amount of sense. Even if you don't think he's going to be the guy this year, or to begin the year, even if he's a guy that, hey, we roll out Aiden O'Connell, we roll out Gardner Minshew, neither one of them are good, we still have this ace in the hole. Or even if you still want to redshirt him this year, right? Redshirt him this year, you still have team control over him for another 2 years. Him and Aiden O'Connell are basically the same age. I think he's like 5 months older than Aiden O'Connell. So it's not like you're sacrificing any type of youth there. They're the same age. So, if Aiden O'Connell's going to be your guy going forward, that he would be on the same track as Hendon Hooker. So you're not losing anything in terms of that respect. But what you are gaining is somebody that is immensely more talented than Aiden O'Connell. and proved so at the collegiate level, and proved so in terms of where his draft stock was before he was injured. So I think it makes all the sense in the world, and which is why Tom Telesco put a plant in Dwayne Joseph in the Lions organization. So for when we execute this trade, I'm playing on that part. But yeah, I just think it makes all the sense in the world, right? You're gaining at least if you can get him for a fourth.
The chat right now is
I'm sure they're like,
I can feel it, bro. Like my ears are tingling, and yeah.
He won 5 games last year. You see, he came in mid season and chill, So like I said, he was a 3rd round pick the last year. Most people projected him to be a late first, even after the injury. There were a lot of people saying, "Hey, man, this guy's gonna go in the 2nd round." If he wasn't injured, he probably would have went in the mid to late first. So I'm thinking if you can get that kind of value, that kind of talent, that kind of prospect for a 4th or 5th round pick, you do it.
Man, my thing about it is we're kind of playing off too many what ifs. That's kind of where I'm like hesitant about doing it. Now, the trade that you said for a 4th or 5th round pick, yeah, that's a good move to me. Like I think if we were to do that, that's a good move. But what does that say philosophy wise as far as your trust in your quarterback? I mean, we've been told that Aiden O'Connell is the guy, right? That he's he's gonna get a chance to start. Now after June, after these mini camps, if he's over there throwing helium balls and he looks like he's not ready to go, which I don't think is gonna happen. But if that is the case, then you definitely you have to consider it. I'll give you that. You do have to consider something, especially if you have nothing at quarterback. But I think that's the reason why we have Gardner Minshew at this point. Just in case Aiden O'Connell isn't the guy this year. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think that they're just going to completely just like, nah, we're going to just go out of the plan that we already had at this point. I think that's why maybe next year is where you consider that, to where you can see if you can get something for Aiden O'Connell, or just let Gardner Minshew walk and then let Aiden O'Connell, and say you do bring in a Hendon Hooker, let them two battle it out for the starting spot the following year. So with all that being said, I don't see Telesco doing it. I don't see him doing it. Yeah, he don't even seem like the type. Like he's the type that like he'll I'm not even gonna get into it, but I remember me and Severe we cracking jokes. Like if it's pick number 13, he needs a quarterback. He's waiting until number 13 to get that quarterback. You know what I mean? Yeah, like, I don't know if he's gonna trade up. I mean, he's traded up before. Like I think he's traded up for a running back. I think
traded up for Melvin Gordon. But for him to be a GM for this long, and he had, you could say for the most part, he's not a super aggressive GM. Like no.
He did make a trade for Khalil Mack, I guess. I don't know if that.
I don't want to say that's super aggressive.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm just trying. I'm trying to see, like, trying to stay positive here. But it is what it is, man. But look, man. But yeah, let's move along, because man, we got to talk about the schedule release that happened. And now we officially know when the Raiders are going to play their games. They're going to kick off, and I'm going to put this on the screen real quick. They're going to go ahead and kick it off. Let me put this on the screen, and we'll be able to see it in just a second here. Mm-hmm. Boom. 2024 Raiders schedule. You see the preseason games. The dates haven't been announced yet. Usually they come out a little bit later as it gets close to I think August is when the preseason starts.
Yeah.
But let's start with it, man. Look, week 1 in LA against the Chargers. Jim Harbaugh, a coach that was linked to the Raiders for years. We always heard the rumors, and now he's the coach of the stinking Chargers.
Yeah.
And week 1, man, in LA, which is a home that's a home opener. Opener.
Yeah, basically it's home game.
Yeah, let's be honest. It's a home game.
You saw the hat I was wearing. I mean, you already know what it is.
Right. Still to this day.
Yep.
To this day.
Hey man, hey, we gotta get that sound effect, bro. There's so much
man.
stuff, bro. I gotta get man.
It's like hot sauce, man. It goes on everything. But
that's a fact.
Man. But I look at the schedule, man, and there's just one game that sticks out to me, man, and it is a game that I have circled. It is time for some revenge. And I'm looking dead at the preseason game 1 against Minnesota, baby. We put up more than 3 points for sure. Getting more than 3 points for sure. We gonna show
First
y'all.
drive.
We
going balls to the wall. First drive, preseason week 1.
Starters gonna play into the third quarter,
drive, baby.
Yep.
Starters gonna play into the third quarter in the first preseason game. You know,
exactly. Got to show these fools.
We putting up 56 in the first preseason game, man. Get everybody
Antonio
excited.
Pierce running up the score, man. Antonio Pierce is running up the score. We going for 2 every single time.
Man.
Yeah, but all right. So they kick it off against the Chargers. Man, it's gonna be interesting because that first game usually is kind of tricky because you don't really know what either team is gonna do. It's a new year. They're gonna have a new plan. They're gonna look, especially a team coached by Jim Harbaugh. This is his first time being back to the pros, new coaching staff. I mean, we know a little bit about Greg Roman. We already know a little bit about Jim Harbaugh as far as their philosophy, but they got a new set of players. They got how is Herbert gonna look? I mean, is it gonna be the same old Herbert where he's the regular season king and then big moments he disappears? That's like his label right now. Or do we see a new and improved Herbert? Like, there's so many things that we like that week 1, and it's a division opponent too. So that's gonna be a tough game. I'm not gonna lie. I think that's gonna be a tough game. In LA,
I like the fact that we're getting Harbaugh week 1, because there's gonna be some kinks that he's still trying to iron out. We've seen this in the last few seasons that these teams don't get cooking really until week 4. As far as building a philosophy and getting to that rhythm of, what they want to do on offense and defense. I think that's to our advantage right now. I mean, you could argue and say that we're going to be going through the same kind of learning curve with Antonio Pierce, but Pierce was here last year for a little bit, so he has a little bit of continuation. But I do like the fact that we're getting the Chargers early, and we got to get a win in SoFi, man. We haven't gotten a win in SoFi yet, so there's motivation for you week 1, going to LA and actually planting your flag in LA and showing them that we're the premier team in Los Angeles still to this day. So we gotta make it happen early, man. We gotta make a statement.
Yeah, and you know what too? One thing we can say for sure, that this is going to be a physical game, straight up. It's going to be a physical game. Jim Harbaugh, we already know his everywhere he's went, he's always built like a physical team, and for what we've seen from Pierce, I feel like that's the brand of football that he wants to play on offense and defense. So this is going to be a big game, a great way to start the year against a division opponent, at home too, at home in LA. Man. That's the best part right there.
Hey, can I add something though? I'm looking at the whole schedule in general, right? Our schedule is pretty rough in the middle of it, right? Mm-hmm. But those last 5 games are really winnable games. That could be a difference between us making a run and getting into the playoffs. And the Bucks, December 8th, we should be able to take care of the Bucks in Tampa. The Falcons on Monday night. I don't think that's going to be a Monday night game by the time we play them. It could be, depending on what the Falcons are doing. But we can handle the Falcons in Vegas. The Jags, I think they're going to take a step back this year just a little bit. Mm-hmm. Winnable game. Saints is going to be in New Orleans. That's going to be a tough game. But talent wise, we should take care of business there. And then the Chargers at home for that final game. We should go a 5-0. Down the stretch. There's no reason why we shouldn't go 5-0 those last 5 games, and that might make a difference between us getting that final wild card spot or even getting in the division, depending on how things go throughout the season.
Yeah, and just to put more context into the regular season. So Adam Schefter, he posted this earlier about the about each NFL team and how many miles they're going to be traveling.
Yeah.
And let's see if I could let me move this so everybody can see this. Let me put this right here, and y'all can see it here. And damn, you can't see it. You can't. All right, you see that? All right, perfect. All right, so basically, this is what I like to see. The Chargers are going to be traveling the most in the NFL. That's going to take a hit on a team. And that's with 26,803 miles, they're going to be traveling the most in the NFL. The Raiders, though, are number 7 at 23,345 miles. The reason why we put this up here is because it does matter a little bit, man. When teams travel more, it takes a little toll on the body. You're going to different time zones, especially that East Coast trip. We already know as Raider fans, when we watch those East Coast games, man, we're kind of like, man, please, let's hope for a competitive game. They can find a way to get it out, and some of those games, and we'll get back to the schedule. But this is the list of of all these teams that are traveling. I think Chargers are number 1. Is there anybody else in our division that's? Yeah, Chargers the only one. No. The only thing I don't like about this.
Who's traveling the least?
The least is the. Let me see. Let me go put this up. The Commanders.
Okay.
Yeah, those East Coast teams, man. They kind of always have an advantage because all those cities are like right in a couple hour drive. Like it's a quick trip.
East Coast bias.
And then the West Coast teams always got it tougher because if you really look at a map, like most of those teams are on the other side of the, on the eastern part of the time zone.
Well, so, I mean, I think you might. Well,
but then the Jets,
the Patriots, are like they're 4th.
Miami. Do they go over?
Coast, technically,
they don't they have like a Germany game or? You also got to take that in consideration if they go in one of those European.
Miami sounds like they're always usually that team that goes overseas, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Jaguars too.
Jaguars, I believe
they got 2 of them.
They're like in the top 10, top 15.
Yeah. See, the thing with Miami is that they're in the AFC East, so all of their opponents are pretty far away.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's part of the reason. They have the New York teams, then they have New England. So their divisional games are far away. So that's why they have so many travel. That's part of why they have so many travel miles. Look at most of the other teams. Same thing. Well, the Patriots. I think the Patriots do have an overseas game, but all those other teams, for the most part, it looks like a lot of them are on the West Coast or in Florida.
Yeah. And it every year we kind of look at the schedule and we're like, man, the Raiders got a tough schedule again. Like that's just something that we got to deal with. Like that's just what we, as a Raider fan, you already know that you're going to have one of the top 10 toughest schedules every year. That's just what it is. And then we're going to travel more. We're always going to be in the top end as far as travel goes because of location just alone. So, that's standard at this point, man. As a Raider fan, you already know what it is.
Yeah, and starting off, man, you got the Chargers, you got Baltimore, second game of the season. So I feel like this is going to be low key a tough game. The first game I think is going to be low key a tough game. Physical game, you don't know what to expect. Week 1 can go either way. It is what it is. And then you move on to the second game of the season, Baltimore Ravens. That's going to be tough. Lamar Jackson. Yeah, it's gonna be tough, man. That's a top team in the AFC, if not the NFL. Like let's be honest. They did lose their defensive coordinator though, so maybe their defense takes a step back. But they got a lot of talent on that team.
And then the toughness of that game is compounded for 2 reasons. First off, you go back to back Harbaughs, so those guys are sharing notes.
Oh yeah.
And then you go West Coast to East Coast, and then you have a 10 a.m. start. So those are always games we traditionally struggle playing those 10 a.m. games on the East Coast. So Then if it's a very physical team, in the Ravens with a pretty good defense against either Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell, it's going to be tough.
Hey, we better hope Lou Getsy got some type of crazy offense set up with these two tight ends
41
and these
personnel.
receivers. Yeah.
So the Big Mike. That's the Big Mike. The 41 personnel.
Let's get it. No, but that the part of the schedule where I'm looking at this like a gauntlet to me. As soon as October 13th, week 6, we got the Steelers, and then we go Rams, and then the Chiefs, and then the Bengals, and then a bye, and then the Dolphins. Like that's a crazy stretch. That is a crazy stretch. If we can survive that one.
And Rams are Rams is a sneaky team. Like you just know McVay's gonna have them ready to play. Like obviously, and in Stafford, I think Stafford is one of the best QBs in the league in today's NFL. That's gonna be tough. But that being said, McVay's gonna cook something up. With on offense. I know they lost their Hall of Fame defensive tackle, but I don't know, man. The Rams, they look. McVay was able to beat the Raiders with Baker Mayfield coming in 2 days before a game on Thursday Night Football. Like, come on, man. But yeah, going back to the beginning of the season, Panthers, our second home opener. This looks like a W right here. I'm not even.
It should be. It should be.
They got a whole lot of things going on over there. I mean,
I'm sure Bryce Young has heard all the Raider fans talking about how much better Aiden O'Connell was than he is. So I'm sure he's gonna take that personal.
But if we look at the first 4 games, right? We look at the first 4 games. To me, in my opinion, 3 out of the 4 games are going to be tough.
Oh yeah,
division game, hardball, physical game, second hardball. You already know Ravens one of the best teams. Then you gotta thank you NFL guys, and then the Browns, good defense. One of the best defenses in the NFL, like led by Myles Garrett.
To me, the Raiders are on that trajectory of being what the Browns are as far as defense goes. And they're almost kind of like a mirror image of each other. Now, the Browns might have like a slightly better defense. Offense, they are what we're trying to do philosophy-wise. They like to run the ball. They got a better quarterback maybe with Deshaun Watson. We don't know what we're getting with him. But, this is a team that, if things work the way they should with the Raiders, the Browns were what they were like 11-6 last year. We could see something like that. Same kind of mold that the Browns have that they set forward last year is what the Raiders can do this year. It's almost like a mirror image to me. So that game is going to be a slugfest. I think that one's going to be a low scoring struggle of a game. Both defenses kind of going at each other, and first to 15 wins the game kind of deal. Like that's what I see with that game.
Well, I'm glad it's not in Cleveland. Cleveland games where their weather. Oh man, I hate those games. Like you can't do nothing. You can't move the ball. You can't throw the ball. But that being said, it's going to be at home. So there's that. So that's in the Raiders' favor. But that's going to be a tough game. AFC North, man, one of the best division football, if not the best. And then you got the Broncos. You got the Broncos, the stinking Broncos, the donkeys.
Yep.
That's going to be, to me, that's a winnable game. But you never know, man. Sean Payton, he made it a point to draft Bo Nix. This isn't Russell Wilson and Sean Payton, and obviously Sean Payton didn't like Russell Wilson. That experiment didn't last long. But he was able to draft his guy. He's going to coach him up defensively. The Broncos are good defensively, and this is going to be in Denver. It's going to be a division game. It's going to be.
Yeah.
Would you say it's a tough game? Would you say this is a tough game, or would you say like this? Because we've won, like the Raiders they're on a winning streak right now, like with the Broncos. I don't want to jinx it, I'm gonna knock on wood. I don't want to jinx it, but
Yeah. To me, this game is since it's in Denver, you got to get on top of the Broncos early, hit them in the mouth early, get that crowd out of the game, and that's when the game will start, being smooth. But going to Denver is never easy. That's a tough environment, no matter
Yeah.
who's on that roster. You
Mhm.
still got to take them seriously. But I think with a young team like the Broncos, with a rookie quarterback trying to figure things out, you got to hit them in the mouth early, take that crowd out of the game, and then you'll be smooth sailing from there.
Yeah, man. So you got the Broncos. You got any thoughts on this, Severe, as far as what to expect from the Broncos? You think it's gonna be a tough game, easy game?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a tough game. First of all, you're coming off that Cleveland game, and we expect that to be an extremely physical game. And then you're going to Denver, and as Mike said, they already have that built-in advantage just because of the altitude. The altitude,
Yeah.
people don't often take that into account, but that's very, very difficult to play in. So
Yeah.
you're coming off what's going to be a knockdown, drag-out battle against two very, tough-minded, blue-collar type teams after we play the Browns, then to go directly into a Denver game at altitude, I think that just makes things very, very difficult. And then that streak, man, I'm sure that streak is weighing heavy on the organization, and they're gonna have that game circled on the calendar as, beat the Raiders. Like, we haven't beat the Raiders since before COVID. So, that's going to be something that they want to do, especially if they have, their rookie quarterback. At that point, Mike kind of talked about that 4-game mark is where you kind of see where guys are. If he's starting to kind of figure things out by that point, then that could be a tough situation.
Yeah. And it's crazy that we're going through these games, but we all know that, like, every year there's always teams that disappoint and there's always teams that surprise.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? It could be the Chargers being terrible, which wouldn't be a surprise, but the Chargers, the Broncos being one of the best teams in the NFL. Like, we don't know. Like, the Panthers could be one of the best young teams in the league. We don't know. At the end of the day, we're basing this off the moves that they've made, the recent history, the coaching staff, the players, the talent. But, like, anything can happen. NFL is a year-to-year league, man, week-to-week league. So, that being said, we play the Steelers right after. Your boy Justin Fields, is he playing this game? Is he returning kicks?
Yeah, I was about to say, if he's returning kicks, he might play.
Returning kicks.
But as of right now,
man.
Russell Wilson's the starter. But yeah, man, what are your thoughts on this one, Severe?
Man, the Steelers are a tough team, man. We know they're always going to be well coached. They're going to run the ball well. I think they have a great complement of weapons. And I think George Pickens is a tough matchup, especially his style of play. Whether he's matched up against Jack Jones or he's matched up against cornerback 2, whoever we have opposite of Jack Jones, I think he's going to be a difficult matchup for anybody that we have on our team. I think now they have some competent quarterback play. We always expect them to run the ball well and play good defense, play sound football. So I think that just makes it tough, man. We saw this story last year. The Steelers in our house too. They came in and with a worse quarterback, they were able to beat us. So I'm hoping that we got some things figured out. We've improved on both sides of the ball. So I'm hoping we can pull out that win, because I think like by the time week 6 ends, we kind of know what kind of team we're going to be. However we finish after that week 6, we have some kind of middle of the road teams. We play one of the best teams in the league. We play a team that was the worst team in football last year. So I think that's going to be a good barometer of what kind of team we have going forward that year. Not to say nothing can change, but by that time we'll have kind of a good idea of who we are. So if we can pull out a win against the Steelers, I think that will go a long way to saying, hey, you know what, maybe we have something.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
And going back to what Mike was saying earlier when he talked about the last 5 games, I mean, if you look at the first half of the season before that bye, it's I think that's if we can get past, if we can survive the first half of the season, I think the second half kind of sets up a little bit nice for us a little bit, because we pretty much played the AFC North. Like, that's the best division of football the last few years.
Yep.
From the Bengals, you got to expect Joe Burrow should be back, this year, right? So he's gonna be playing Week 9. You would assume that's gonna be tough, and that's gonna be at Cincinnati too. At Cincinnati, I'm skipping some games here. The Rams, obviously, we talked about earlier. Sean McVay, Stafford, but it's gonna be at home. You know what I mean? It's gonna be at home, so that's a home game. That's an extra home game, so that's a good thing.
We got 2 extra home games this year.
Right.
That's right.
Right, and then it's the Chiefs. You already know what the Chiefs. Yeah, as much as we hate the Chiefs, that's the best team in the division, man. They won the Super Bowl last year. It is what it is, man. Hopefully, we'll be able to be the Grinch this year too, when it comes to the Chiefs, man. But yeah, man. Look, so let's just move it along, man. Like, let's go to the second half of the season, and let's get to the Dolphins. And that was a game last year where it was kind of like, man, like, we should have won that game. It felt like we competed. It's just, if we had some better quarterback play, maybe we steal that game,
Yep.
But then, I think after that, was it the Vikings game after that? I think it was the Vikings game, right? After that was the Vikings game, I believe.
It was, because I think we had a bye week, and it was a bye week then the Vikings game.
Oh, that's how bad the Vikings game was. It was after a bye week too. Man, we had to wait 2 weeks after being excited. I'm like, hey, Antonio Pierce got this team turned around. Our offense is getting better, and then we seen a 3-0 game that sucked the life out of us.
Yeah. Then we scored 63 the next game.
Hey, 63 the next game, man. Roller coaster season last season, man. But let's talk. Let's talk Week 11 Dolphins. Is this a game? It's a winnable game in Miami, though. It's going to be in Miami.
I mean, so just to kind of rewind just a little bit, and this is going to be a test of what kind of motivator the coach is, Coach Pierce. Because there's a couple games on this schedule where, that's the one that got away last year. The Steelers being one of them. The Steelers being that game where we should have won that game. Now, I know that Antonio Pierce wasn't there. He was there, but he wasn't at the head coaching spot. But that Steelers game was another one of those games where it got away with, we should have won that game. The Dolphins is another one. I want to see from Antonio Pierce, hey, this is a game that we should have won last year. Around the same time, we went over there and, we were just a couple plays away from stealing one. Yeah. What do we have to do this time around to make that happen? And I think that's going to be one of those games that the Raiders have circled big time. I know that Max Crosby is going to be, he's going to have that defense, really hyped up, barring no injuries and things like that. Defense is going to be hyped up for this game as well as the Steelers game. But there's a couple of games in there on the schedule where, there's going to be some redemption, that factor of redemption and that motivating factor. And the Dolphins game is one of those games. If you beat the Steelers and the Dolphins, is a difference between a couple of plays. If you win those games, those 2 games, you're in the playoffs. Even one of those games, if you just win one of those games, you're in the playoffs. So, they're going to look at that and be like, okay, this is the one that got away last year. What do we got to do to make this happen this year? So that's a game that I see them looking within, and looking in the mirror and getting things done right here. I think I got an upset right here, Week 11.
Yeah. I mean, they competed with them. The one thing I'm worried about, though, is that speed. We were able to keep it under wraps the last time, but man, at any moment they have guys all over the football field that can just score in a blink of an eye. And if that happens, if the defense makes a mistake here, do we have an offense that has the ability to score some points? And that's one of the biggest question marks that we won't be able to find out until the season starts. Is offensively, are we an improved offensive unit? Do we have an identity? Let's start there. Do we have an identity on offense? Because we didn't have an identity last year. We were just like trying to do whatever it takes to move the ball down. Move the ball down the field, but nothing was working. I mean, you would think maybe run game. I think that's probably you bring back Lou Getsy, who had some success with Chicago as far as coaching a top running offense. Obviously, Justin Fields is the quarterback, so that might have skewed the numbers. But man, I think hopefully, if we have an identity on offense, if one of the surprise players on the football team is the quarterback, like AOC or Gardner Minshew, I'm with you, man. This is a game that we could definitely steal.
Yep, 14 personnel, man. Pull 3 tight ends, some counter action, man. Let's go. Get Zamir White cooking. Let's do it.
Harrison Bryant getting some PT.
Yep, man. One tight end out of the practice squad. Hey, let's put him in there, man. Let's go. Yeah. Four tight ends on the field, man. I want to see it.
Yeah, man. But hey, are you Severe? Are you scared of the Dolphins? Is this a game where you're like, I don't know, I mean, me personally, like I said, I'm not scared of him. I'm not scared of Tua. Like if we can get to Tua, that's the key.
He's spooky.
Yeah,
I'm telling you.
I'm not scared. I won't say I'm scared, but I will say this. There are 2 things kind of working for us, right? We took their best defensive player. We took Christian Wilkins. Mm-hmm. So that is, that was an addition for us. There's going to be somebody that's going to help put pressure on their quarterback and somebody we don't have to worry about. Because I want to say he had, I know for sure 1 sack in that game, possibly 2 in that game, but he had 1 sack for sure. And then Xavier Howard is no longer there as well. So that gives us, one less. That gives them one less chess piece on the other side defensively. So maybe we can do some things there. But when we played them last year, I don't believe they had Devin Achane when we played them. So
that's right.
And that is a guy who before he got hurt, he was destroying the league.
Yeah,
like he got hurt. He was destroying the league so much that he got hurt, and for like 3 weeks, he was still the NFL's leading rusher. 3 weeks after he was initially injured. So that's the kind of impact he can have, and that's going to be something that's going to threaten us, because you got to pick your poison at that point. Do you want to drop Trevon Merrick or drop Marcus Epps into the box and play 8-man box to try to stop the run, and then leave Jack Jones trying to defend Tyreek Hill and whoever we have? I already talked about our second cornerback. I'm gonna keep reiterating our number 2 corner, because they're gonna have to either guard Jalen Waddle or Tyreek Hill, and if they don't have that extra safety help, we can be in for a long day if Max Crosby and Christian Wilkins aren't consistently able to get pressure on Tua extremely fast. And even if they can, Jalen Waddle and Tyreek have both shown you get the ball in their hands, they can take a 10-yard dig for 70 and drop 6 on you fast. So I think it's going to be a battle of wits between McDaniel and Patrick Graham, and I'm hoping that that Patrick Graham can win that matchup.
Yeah, and the Raiders did a great job of keeping those big plays to minimum. Like, it was a great defensive performance by the Raiders, but it just, offensively, that's going to be a big key. But I'll say this, though, man, just to leave it like this, man. Christian Wilkins better be the game MVP. Man, going against your former team, you know what I mean? Let them know, like, the reason they should never let you go. Never let you hit free agency. Hopefully he has his biggest game of the season against the Dolphins, and it equals to a W. But we got back-to-back divisional games. You know what it is. I always look at division games tough no matter what. Like, it is what it is. But we got Broncos, obviously, in Kansas City in November. And this is just not any November game too. This is gonna be a Black Friday game.
Yeah.
at so it's gonna be a Black Friday game. So I guess you could take that for what it is. I mean, it's not a Thursday night game. It's a Friday game, so maybe more time to rest up instead of playing on Thanksgiving or something like that, or just having a regular Thursday night game. So take that for whatever it's worth. And I think this is probably this one of two primetime games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that's another thing too. Is it the Falcons, the second game right here, right? I think it's
Yeah.
a Sunday night game
That
right
one and the Falcons are
Yep.
the only primetime games we have.
here.
Yeah.
And now we
Oh,
fast
you
forward
know.
to And now we fast forward to what Mike was talking about earlier, these last 5 games here. You got the Bucks, you got the Falcons, the Jaguars, the Saints, the Chargers.
Winnable
That's
games, man.
Yeah, that's hey man, if the Raiders, if they can hang in here the first half of the season, keep it competitive, steal some games here. Look, last 5 games is setting up real nice for them, and I think this is definitely a winnable. It's still early, man. We going and I don't know if you guys want to do like predictions of the record. I mean, it's a little too early for that.
Too early for that. Yeah.
It's too early because injuries. We gotta wait till training camp. We want to see what the product looks on the football field. But at the same time, like you want to see who's hurt, who's healthy. But yeah. That being said, man, is there any games that pop out here that could potentially be a tough game? I know you said the last 5 games is winnable, but
that game versus the Saints, that's going to be a game. Like I said, I think that's going to be a potential Sunday night game that might get flexed to Sunday night because just for playoff implications from both sides, the Saints probably going for the division or maybe a little like a wild card spot at that point, and the Raiders still probably in playoff contention at that moment as well. So that game has a potential to be a lot of playoff implications, and for the Raiders to go on the road at week 17 and in a must-win situation possibly, with the possibility of Derek Carr ruining the party for the Raiders. It's a lot of storylines behind it, and I can see that being a game that they flex later on. That's a tough environment to play in New Orleans. I've been to a Saints game before, not when they played the Raiders, but just being in the Superdome. That is a tough place to play. They have a rabid fan base similar to what we have. They just do it a little bit differently than we do, but Saints fans are no joke. So to go there, so to go there with
only one nation, y'all.
There's only one. There's only one. But if when there's playoff implications on the line, you got to go on the road to continue your chance to make the playoffs. That's a tough game in general. So that's one that sticks out to me later on in the season.
Yeah, and man. I look. I think I think that first half for me is that's like Severe said earlier. I think the first few games, first 6 games, you're gonna find out what this team is, man. As far as offensively, defensively, you're gonna know what this team is about, especially because they play against different types of opponents, like Severe said. But I'll even say like that first half of the season, if they're able to survive that and come out like with at least a winning record or 500 at least, man, that the schedule, like I said, it opens up in the end, man. I mean, the last 5 games, like Big Mike said, and then like I think this is where it's, I think right here right after the bye. But look, we're coming off a bye. This is perfect. Playing the Dolphins after a bye, that's extra 2 weeks. Usually that's an advantage. You have 2 weeks to prepare for your opponent. So that can be an advantage right there. And then we're back at home with the Broncos. This is going to be tough. East Coast, I mean Tampa Bay. I know it's Baker Mayfield, and we don't really respect him as like
I
a
mean, they were a
top
playoff
quarterback,
team
but-
last year, man. They won a playoff game.
and he played well. He played well for them.
He
But
played really well. Yeah.
and the thing is too, this is another East Coast game. That's the one thing. Even
That's
that
a
Dolphins
fact.
game, we
10
gotta
a.m.
be
too.
real.
10 a.m. start too.
You got to take
10
it
a.m.
seriously.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But if I showed you, you know, these last 8 games, this is what the schedule looks like, you'd be excited. You know, if I told you this from you know, before you saw it, like, man, we have the potential to go 6-2, possibly 7-1 in these final 8 games.
Yeah.
You do that, you're in the playoffs. You know, regardless of what happens in the first half of the season. So, I'm excited for that second half. I think that we can steal one from the Dolphins. The Broncos, we should be able to take care of business. I think the Chiefs have in their mind already, like, hey, we're not losing to the Raiders in Arrowhead. So I'm clocking that one as an L. And then the last 5, like I said, are all winnable games. So, you know, 7-1, 6-2, like that's a good stretch of game that you finish the season 6-2, you're looking at the playoffs.
Yeah. And I don't know if y'all noticed this. I mean, is this a thing? Like literally, last season it was the Broncos' first game of the season, and then Broncos' last game of the season.
Yeah, they did
and now
it
this year it's the Chargers' first game, and the last game of the season is the Chargers. So I guess
they did a similar because the second game was also an East Coast game. They gave us the Bills week 2 last year. So So they're not playing like, hey, all right, you're gonna get that. You're gonna get a AFC West opponent week 1, and then you're going East Coast week 2. That's I guess that's the recipe for us. That's what they're doing to us. So
yeah, man. But yeah, man, that's the schedule release, man. Hey, look, there's some games here that we feel like are winnable, some tough games. At the end of the day, we don't know what's gonna happen when the season rolls around. There's always gonna be some surprise teams. There's gonna be some tough teams. And when that happens, man, we'll talk about it. But for right now, it's not a terrible schedule. I don't think it's like, oh man, like I don't know how we're gonna survive this. I don't know how the Raiders are gonna get through this, man. If the Raiders are able to figure it out on offense, I feel like they'll be all right next season.
Oh yeah, no
defensively,
doubt.
we know what it is, man. I feel like defensively, we can all agree like we feel good about the defense more than the offense.
Yeah,
we got more question marks there. But that being said, to moving along, man, we got comments of the week, man. We got comments of the week back. Popular demand. I know last week you missed it, Big Mike, but we got some comments.
Yeah.
And hey, make sure to leave a comment after the video. After this ends, make sure to leave a comment so then we can put you on here, man. And we want to hear your thoughts, man, because some of y'all leave some good comments. Y'all have some great opinions and outlooks on certain things. Sometimes y'all don't. We don't agree with what you have to say, but we'll still put it up. We'll still put it up, man. We're not haters, man. We're gonna put it up, and we're gonna let you know why we disagree with you or agree with you. Either or, man.
Facts.
So we're not gonna be haters, and I guess let's see who we can start off, man. I guess it starts off with me, Michael Craig, man. Appreciate you, man, commenting, man. He says AP. This is last week, and I believe one of the things that we talked about was Costa Mesa. The Raiders are going to be going there for training camp, and I kind of asked at the time, like, why the Raiders couldn't go to Northern California? Because I'm being biased. I know I want them to come over here, and you know the guy Michael's like, AP wants to move the camp to unite the team. So do you think the head coach? That's a good question right there. Do you think the head coach has a big say on where the Raiders play for training camp, especially AP? Maybe John Gruden, just because he had that 10-year contract and he had so much control as far as the day-to-day and being a GM. You know, we know what it was with John, but like AP, do you think he would have a lot of say in where the Raiders played for training camp? Like, hey, can we go to Southern California instead?
No, I think that this was already in play, and I think that Antonio Pierce endorsed it, and he wanted that as well. And it was like, all right, well, you like it, and I love it. You know, this is what I already wanted anyway. So it kind of happened. I don't think that Antonio Pierce is like, let's go to Costa Mesa, and they're like, all right, cool, let's go contact the city and get it voted. Like I don't see that happening. Like it was just like it was already kind of in the play to happen, and Antonio Pierce kind of benefits from the nod basically.
Yeah, no. And another thing too, I think this is just a sign of the Raiders. I think, like you said, like I think it's more so the Raiders are trying to get away from that heat, that crazy Las Vegas heat. And now instead of waking up like 2:00 in the morning or 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning to have practices, now they can have practice like normal teams do. And I think the Raiders just seen an opportunity there. I think before the Raiders were there, the Chargers were there, but they moved into their facility. So I think teams, I don't know if this is common, but when teams have new facilities, they like to have, I guess, training camps there, because I've noticed that with the Raiders. The Chargers are doing that because their new facilities have just opened up, so they're going to be there for training camp. Because before that, I think they have a contract with the city of Costa Mesa, and that it's not up until 2026. So and the Raiders signed a 1-year deal, so it's not even a guarantee the Raiders are going to be coming back next year until that contract is up for the Chargers. So. But AP wants to move to camp. I'm sure he wants the United team either way, so that shouldn't be a question. But I'm guessing they can't do Napa because of the Niners. So from what I heard, they said that Napa couldn't be prepared or open in time for the Raiders to come there. So that's what I heard from the beat writers, from people. So Napa was considered, but it wasn't an option based off a lot of different factors, I guess, because they weren't prepared for the Raiders to even have a training camp there. So there's a lot of things that go into that. But that being said, the Niners are taking over the Bay Area. I'm just letting you know, I'm in the Bay Area. It's like crazy. Like, I know there's Raider fans out here, y'all here, but it seems like with all these Niner fans, and a lot of them are bandwagon. I think some of these fans, I think they were Raider fans, but they just like, you know what? They went to Vegas. I'm just gonna put on a Niner hat so I can go to the games, and it's convenient. Like,
and it's so convenient when they're winning too, right? Like, let me go ahead and take this Raider hat off and put on like, come on, man, that's weak as hell. But if that's your mentality, go ahead, and you weren't built for this anyway. But I will say this, man. Like, I really hope that at some point they do give back to the city of Oakland and bring the Raiders for a joint practice with the 49ers in Napa at some point. If it's not this season, then next season.
Man, because it's tough out here, man, because Oakland is about to lose the A's. The Warriors left. They went to, I mean, not too far, but they went to San Francisco. They went to a different city. So you got a team that was originally in Oakland, and they're going to San Francisco. Man, it's right. The city of Oakland doesn't have any sports teams, and that's a whole different conversation. There's a lot of different reasons why that is.
Right.
If you ask Mark Davis, he'll point the finger at the city of Oakland, but also the owner of the A's. The A's, man, like how they blocked them from extending their lease. Like, a lot of it is like politics or whatever. But yeah, man, it's tough, man, because the Bay Area, they're going all in for the 49ers right now, and it's annoying as hell, man. But it is what it is, man. The Raiders left. They're in Vegas, and hey, man, that's just what it is. But let's move on to the next comment, and this one is for Big Mike. And my guy here says Bauer's pick reminds me of when the Cowboys picked up Micah. They didn't need a pass rusher, but because Micah was so talented, they had to get him. So this is him kind of referencing, people saying like, oh, well, Bauer's pick is a luxury pick. Like, why did we pick him? Like, and this is him trying to make sense of that. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree. Who was this, by the way? I can't see the name.
Man, my bad. I think it got cut off. Let me see.
It's all good. It's all good. Hey, whoever left this comment, thank you. Just to put out there, this is my favorite part of the show. So, guys, put in all the comments. Go ahead and do it, man. We love to hear it. This is my favorite part of the show where I can interact with everybody. But I agree. I think that Sergio, I agree, man. This does remind me of what Micah Parsons, that whole Micah Parsons situation. It was argued at that time that Micah Parsons was probably the best player on the board at that in that draft. It kind of has that similar feel to it. At first, when this happened, I mean, you guys already kind of heard from me as far as what I thought about the Bowers pick. Initially, I wasn't really, I wasn't too big on it, but then because I didn't think it was a realistic situation for us to get a Brock Bowers, I didn't really do any research. But when we had him, I started looking up, his highlights and different things that he brings to the table. A lot of people have him graded really high as a tight end. Some people have him graded higher than Tony Gonzalez coming out of college. If that's the case, then we got something special. And I've said this before, right? I said this last week or a couple of weeks ago. This Raiders team has a potential, if things work out with two tight ends that we do have that are potential stars. We can see something on offense that we've never seen before, as far as like mastering that 12 personnel. Now, back in the day when teams ran the 12 personnel, you would have, that athletic tight end that could run routes, and then you would have one on the line, that big, lumbering tight end who's there just to block as another offensive lineman. But we have two more than capable route runners who can break a defense potentially with Brock Bowers, and if Big Mike Mayer, he comes out and kind of builds on what he did last year, we have something special on that offense in the 12 personnel. So
in different ways too.
In different ways, you can put them both on the line. You can stack them. You can put one in the slot. And I joked about it, but I want to see stuff from this Raiders offense that we have never seen before in the NFL. I want to see some stuff that will revolutionize offense as far as what we think will be successful, as far as, who's on the field and the personnel and the different plays that we can use. Put a 13 personnel package in there, 3 tight ends, 14 personnel, no receivers, just have 4 tight ends out there, and then, hit people in the mouth with the run game and just have just a bunch of guys just going at you. You know what I mean? And you have 4 capable type of tight ends that can go out there and run routes. How do you defend that? You have to put some big guys out there because you got to defend the run. You got to respect the run. But at the same time, you got to respect their route running ability. So, I want to see some stuff that we have never seen before, and I hope that Getsy is in his bag with that one. So, but long story short, I agree with that comment, man. Thanks, Sergio, for that one.
Yeah, man. I hope so too, man. I hope Getsy can figure something out, cook something up, because like we said before, man, I think he's one of the biggest question marks on the team is what are we going to get out of Getsy? It's a big question mark. You can say, facts. Oh well, the quarterback play might have not been the best. He inherited that quarterback. He had to make do with what he had, and it is what it is. But we still don't know what this offense can look like and what he can do with the weapons that we have on offense. But hey, man, we got half the battle. Half the battle is having the players. Now the other half is like, all right, put them in positions to succeed. So hopefully they succeed next season. But let's move it along to the next comment. We're gonna throw this one as severe. This is a special one, man, right here, man. My guy. This is another one I forgot to put the name on. My bad, man. But let me go ahead and read this for you, man. I think we needed a right tackle before a corner. A corner is a crap shoot. I think this is when we're talking about free agency. And we're talking about who we should target in free agency and what we need and what's the biggest need right now. Is it right tackle, corner? But he goes on to say, I think we need a right tackle for a corner, and a corner is a crapshoot almost as much as a QB. We got the best player available, Bowers. Okay, so we're talking about the draft here. Bowers is almost a sure thing. Bowers will be a Hall of Fame player as long as he stays healthy, man. Oh, man, He's going all in right here. The safest pick in the draft was Bowers. Ooh, man. QB, cornerback, and wide receiver, they're all crapshoots. None of the QB drafted this year are sure thing. We need a QB very badly. Hopefully next year we'll take a chance on one of them. So it's on you, Severe, man. What do you got? What do you got for my man right here?
So there's so many things to address. I don't know what the target first. So there are a lot of fans who won't remember this. But there was once upon a time there was a offensive tackle. He was supposed to be a sure thing. He was supposed to be a guaranteed Hall of Famer. Like guaranteed, like this guy cannot miss.
Right.
He is the best player in the draft, cannot miss. And guess what? That guy was a massive miss as a tackle. We ended up moving him to a different position, and he carved out a solid NFL career. The guy's name is Robert Gallery. He was supposed to be like the best tackle prospect, possibly ever. And he failed miserably. We talk about tight ends, right? I've said this before. You look at bust potential based on how the percent of these positions that they get a second contract. The two worst positions are wide receiver and tight end. But go further, right? So, but let's say sometimes there are circumstances that get involved. Maybe a team poaches that guy, they offer him more money. If you look at, and this is data taken from between 2010 and 2019, which 2019 being the last time we have like a full 5 years worth of data based on, when the players were drafted and when their contracts were up. You look at the number of, so you look at all pros of guys that were drafted in the first round. You know what position has 0 all pro guys between 2010 and 2019? Take a wild guess what position that is. Just take a guess. It's tight ends. First of all, you don't draft tight ends in the first round. And when you do draft tight ends in the first round, looks like they aren't making all pros. Guess what position was the 4th highest? Defensive back. Because those guys usually are plug and play guys. If you can play DB in college, a lot of times you can play DB in the NFL. And that translates much better, especially after that second or third year. Second corner, in my opinion, was a much bigger need than, possibly number 2 weapon behind Devontae, possibly number 3 if you count Jacoby Myers as your number 2 weapon, possibly number 4. If Michael Mayer turns into the player that a lot of people thought he would be last year. So, there's no such thing as a guaranteed player in the NFL. The last time we heard about a guaranteed tight end was Kyle Pitts, who had a heck of a season his rookie year and has tailed off since then. Why? Because of spotty quarterback play. So they just, the quarterback play was so spotty in Atlanta that they paid a guy $200 million and then drafted a guy 8th overall. So that's how much you value quarterback in the NFL. So the fact that we're still talking about, taking this tight end, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me. There are a lot of flaws in Brock Bowers' games. I've watched him thoroughly. I've watched every reception he's had since 2021. Every single reception. There are a lot of holes in this game. I see how they used them, and there's no guarantee we'll be able to use them the same way here, especially with Devontae needing the ball, Jacoby needing the ball, Michael needing the ball, and a lot of people having questions about the creativity of Luke Getsy. So to say that he's going to be a guaranteed success with us, I think, that's a reach. To piggyback on Mike's comment, talking about that was similar to Micah Parsons, the Cowboys traded up for Micah Parsons. Michael Parsons was considered a linebacker. And the Cowboys were coming off Jalen Smith being ineffective for the 5 years he was there. He was drafted in 2016. They weren't, they weren't going to bring him back. And then Leighton Vander Esch was hurt every single year. So they needed a linebacker. And then DeMarcus Lawrence was a guy that was wanting to get big money, and he was off injured as well. So not only did they need a pass rusher, they needed a linebacker too. Michael Parsons just happened to fit the mold for both of those guys. That's why they traded up to get him. We didn't need a tight end. We didn't necessarily need a weapon. We needed improved quarterback play, and we needed a corner opposite of Jack Jones, because the guy we had playing there, we cut early in the year. The other guy we wanted to start there was ineffective, so he was benched, and the other guy happened to leave and go to Detroit. So, I think that Bowers, while I'm hoping he turns out to be the player that the Raiders wanted him to be, and that obviously this guy is already has his seat, reserved in the Hall of Fame. You can start working on the bus today, I guess. Um, there's no guarantee he'll be that guy, and especially if we don't get improved quarterback play. So, I think Brock Bowers. I think that was not necessarily the safest pick. I think that was a risk. Because if you don't get good quarterback play, he won't be that good, as evidenced by what's happening to Cal Pitts right now, what's happening to Drake London there as well. So we had the opportunity to trade back, get extra draft capital, and pick up just about any defensive player we wanted to in this draft. We elected not to. We elected to try to shore up the offensive side of the ball after drafting a tight end last year. And we'll see what that works. We better come out with some 31 person. We better come with some 61 personnel. God damn it, and just 5 offensive linemen, a tight end, and pistol, and the 4 tight ends out wide. Baby. Let's just do that. So like I said, man, I'm hoping it works out well. But like I said, I'm not going to hold my breath, and I'm not. But I'm for damn sure I ain't booking anybody's trip to Canton anytime soon.
Man,
cooked once again, man. Hey, and I feel you on that one, man. Like I tend to agree with you to a certain degree, especially with the Getsy part. Like we really got to see before we get excited about Brock Bowers. We got to see what he's got cooking on offense, because if it's gonna be real basic, real vanilla. And then, because we always have this expectation of what we think should happen. And to me, I think that they should revolutionize the game. Just the way you got 2 dogs at tight end potentially, right? And I say potentially because Brock Bowers, he's rated really high. And he was the for sure shot guy. That's what people say. And Michael Mayer, he was the sure shot. He was arguably the best tight end coming out last year. So you got 2 dogs at tight end potentially. You got to do something. Those are cornerstones. So you got to do something that is pretty much centered towards them and revolutionize the game and change the game. And if you're not doing anything short of that, then it's going to be a fail, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, the thing about Brock Bowers is that we say he's a tight end. I know people keep saying, "Oh, he's not a tight end; he's a weapon." But basically what you're saying is that he's a tweener. He's not quite a wide receiver. He's not quite a tight end. And sometimes you hit on those guys, right? Where, hey, they're too big for a cornerback and they're too fast for a linebacker or safety or whatever. And sometimes you have guys that are kind of these jack of all trades and master of none, and they never reach their full potential just because they don't have a real position. So sometimes it works out in your advantage. Sometimes it doesn't work out in your advantage, right? I don't want to say he's this guy, but JJ Arcega-Whiteside is a guy that was supposed to be, hey, this guy is guaranteed, he can't miss. I want to say he was drafted in front of, was he drafted in front of he was drafted in front of DK Metcalf. And
second round?
He
was in the second round?
No, he was drafted in the first round by the Eagles. And JJ Arcega-Whiteside, and he turned out to be a huge bust. He was supposed to be a guy that was
because Metcalf was in the second round.
Metcalf was the second round. JJ Arcega-Whiteside was in the first round. So, and he was a guy that was supposed to be, hey, this guy, look at this guy's production in college. He's one of those can't miss prospects at wide receiver. No matter what, he's going to be able to do this in the red zone. He's going to do that, and then he turns out to be a massive bust. So, I mean, that stuff happens all the time. So, I mean, sometimes you catch lightning in the bottle. Sometimes you don't.
Yeah. So Whiteside was drafted in the second round. He was drafted.
He was drafted in the second round by the Eagles. Okay, he was drafted in front of Metcalf though.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta double check it, but yeah, man. Man, you've been tough on that Bowers pick for sure. You're like one of the strongest critics, man, out here, man.
I can't blame you for that, bro. To be honest with you,
You gotta show me.
Yeah, bitch.
But like I said, man, I've watched him. I keep telling people, bro, he's not a traditional tight end. He's not a guy that you can just line up one and just run regular stuff too. That's not what they did at Georgia. It was a whole bunch of tight end screens, a whole bunch of quick outs. Let's get in the ball real fast. It's a whole bunch of stuff schemed specifically to get the ball in his hands quickly and let him. He's elite with the ball in his hand. The ball in his hand, he's elite. But all the other stuff, he's not great at. He doesn't have great hands. He's not great at the catch point. He doesn't run good routes. Nothing else he does good at. But if you get the ball in his hands, he's elite. I've watched every reception he's had since 2021. I've watched 5 or 6 full games. He's not what people think he is. And these people just hear these other people talk about him and they just parrot what they say. I've watched it and I can tell you what I see. I've sent you evidence of what I saw, of the difference between how Michael Mayer can run a route and how Brock Bowers runs a route. They're different. Michael Mayer has the kind of balance where he can, go inside, come back outside, toe tap, get the ball, catch the ball, reception. Brock Bowers doesn't have those kind of skills. He doesn't. And it's not me hating. It's just what I've seen on tape. So until he shows me he can do something different, I'm going to keep that same opinion. And until he shows that, in a regular offense, he can function like that where he's not being schemed open and they're not doing this special stuff and running tight end screens and let's hand him the ball to make sure he gets the ball in his hand. That's all well and good. That's all well and good in college where you're the guy and you're guaranteed your touches. But when you get to the NFL, you have to be a cog in the wheel. It's not always like that. We've seen time and time again these elite wide receivers in college. Dwayne Jarrett. I was just talking about Dwayne Jarrett. Dwayne Jarrett, by some, was considered the best wide receiver in college football. He was behind Kelvin Johnson. He was my favorite player coming out. And he was so good because the USC was throwing him the ball all the time. They were scheming him open, doing all this stuff to make sure he got the ball. He got to the Panthers, got to the NFL. That stuff wasn't working no more. So now it's you, mano a mano, with the guy across from you. Can you use your fundamental skills to beat this guy? That's what it comes down to. And he couldn't do it. And I haven't seen anything on tape that says Brock Bowers will be able to consistently do that.
I don't know, man. You said he's a terrible route runner.
He's bad. He's not bad. He's not a terrible route runner, but he's not a good route runner. People say he's
that was for the chat right there. That was for the chat.
I was flowing right there. So terrible sounded better. I was spitting. I was freestyling right there. But now he's not a terrible route runner, but he's not a good route runner. He's like mediocre route runner. He's like he's not. It'll get the job done sometimes. Sometimes it won't. But Michael Mayer is a very good route runner. Now, Michael Mayer is not particularly explosive. He's not going to, he has his limitations. But Michael Mayer is also like 265 pounds. He's also great. Michael Mayer is great at the catch point. Michael Mayer is one of the best tight ends I've ever seen in terms of at the catch point. It's me and you. I got to box you out, get this rebound. Michael Mayer can do that. Like Brock Bowers is not a guy. And Brock Bowers also has a fumbling problem too. I didn't even bring that up. That's neither here nor there.
Man, I'm just going. Look, man. Hey, one of the biggest critics out there, Brock Bowers, man. I don't think he's as bad as the route runners you say he is. I think I'm on the other side, man. I think he could be a productive player for the Raiders. But are you saying that he's that bad of a route runner that's not something that he'll like, that's not part of his game at all? Like, or are you just saying, is he just going to be one of those guys where
he has a very limited route tree? I don't think he'll ever be a guy. He hasn't shown me he has the type of movement skills to be a guy that can easily shift his weight. He's very awkward when he, like, it's hard to describe, but it's just some people, like you can tell, like, people that are light on their feet. It's like being able to dance. You're like, oh, this person, like, some people just have rhythm and can dance. Like, he's a guy that, like, he's never going to really be that. You can
dance.
It's one of those type things. It's like one of those type things where it's like you can improve, but like it's an art form, right? It's like it's an art form. Some people are blessed with the ability to do that kind of stuff. You can work on it, but he's never going to be like an elite route runner. I think he can get to like pretty good, to maybe even like, I wouldn't say very good, but he can get to like good. He can get to be a good route runner. But right now, like he's not there yet.
Let me ask you this then. What do you think of what's the tight end for San Francisco? What do you think of him as a route runner, George Kittle? Like, how do you feel about him as a route runner? Because
George Kittle, he's limited too, but he's much better. He's much better. And then George Kittle's an elite blocker as well. So, and he's also much better at the catch point than Brock Bowers. But he's not a great route runner either. But he's better. He's better than
the guy that they compare to. They compare him to like his like that, that ability with the ball in his hands, and this dude can house it. He could take it to the house. It could be a huge play down the field. But
I would say this. But to that example with George Kittle's production has waned considerably since they got outside weapons. Right?
That's true.
Like at one point, he was George Kittle is that guy. He's like, oh man, George Kittle, he's the best two-way tight end in the league in terms of a guy that not only can catch the ball and block. How often do you hear people talk about George Kittle now that they have Deebo Samuel and then they have Brandon Ayuk catching the ball on the outside? Hardly ever at all, because once you have outside weapons, you're not going to be scheming that guy like that the ball as much.
Well, the issue though with George Kittle is the fact that he can't stay healthy.
That's part of the reason.
When you can't stay on the field, then
Deebo can't either.
From the Niners' perspective, they got to figure out a plan to create an offense where they can rely on the pieces that they have. And if Kittle can't stay on the field, then all right, then you're gonna have to have a Brandon Ayuk. Then you're gonna have to have a Deebo Samuel. Then you're gonna have to have a run game. You know what I mean? Like there has to be other pieces on that offensive board that the Niners can use. So it's not a situation where it's like, all right, Kelsey, for example. Like Kelsey he's ingrained in that offense. He's that number one option. They got plays for this guy. They know like he's the go-to guy. Kittle, I don't think he has a bigger footprint on the offense compared to a Kelsey, as far as the receiving part. Maybe as a blocker, you know what I mean. You could speak for that, but as a receiver. But Kelsey, like literally, he's the number one guy.
He don't even try to block anybody. But he didn't even try to block anybody. But the thing about Kelsey is that Kelsey's also he's much lighter in the feet. He's a much better route runner. Like Brock Bowers is light years ahead of Kelsey as an athlete. Like it's not even close. As athletic wise, Brock Bowers is quite possibly I can't even think of any other tight ends, but he's top 5 in tight end already in athleticism. Probably higher than that. I'm just saying top 5 to be safe. So I know Kyle Pitts is probably better. I can't, off the top of my head, I can't think of anybody else that would be a better athlete. But in terms of like being a technician, he's probably like he's not good. He's not good. He's mediocre, and that's probably being charitable. And people are easily impressed. People will see him like, see he make this one move this one time, and like, yeah, that's that one time. Like, let me see him do it on a consistent basis. Like, oh well, he did this on this play. Like, yeah, okay, well, what about the other, 50 some odd plays in that game? Like, what was he doing? What kind of routes were you running in that? Was you running a whole bunch of bubble screens? You running a whole bunch of shallow crossing routes? A whole bunch of like stop routes where he turns around and catch the ball and let him do his thing? Like what is he doing? Can he run the post? Yeah, he can run the post. Can he run the fade? Yeah, he can run the fade. Can he run the dig? Yeah, he can run the dig. But can he run a zig route? Can he run an option route where we need to? He has to kind of read what the defense is doing, changes. Like, no, I haven't seen any evidence of him doing any of that stuff.
Well, to be fair though, are you expecting your tight end to have a complete route tree like a wide receiver? You know what I mean? Like
when you're telling me he's going to be a big slot, and that's why it was okay to draft him when you have Michael Mayer already, because he's not just a tight end, he's a big slot, he's a weapon. You damn right I'm expecting. If I'm wasting the 13th overall pick on a tight end, bro, you better be able to do everything, bro. You better be able to get Gatorade, wash my car, detail that, like all that, bro. You better be everything. I'm drafting a tight end at 13, bro. You better be able to cut hair, rap, all that, of that.
Hey man,
but
Bowers,
you know what, man?
Week 1, 250 yards receiving, 3 touchdowns.
There you go.
And that's a problem. Severe might be like, Mayer a better route runner.
It wasn't 251 though.
No. What like he can still be highly effective. He can still be highly effective, but he also has, like I said, it has to be schemed for him. For him. Him having Devontae there, I think, is going to help him tremendously. I think that's going to free him up. But, like I said, it could create a situation where if Devontae starts not getting the ball because, hey, you know what, Devontae is now a decoy, like what does that do with your relationship with Devontae Adams? So I think that's the kind of that's going to be the rub right there. So, I mean, I think he could be a highly, highly productive player, but I don't think he's a guy that I personally, if I had an option between drafting him at 13, trading back and getting a number 1 corner in this draft, and picking up extra draft capital, I'm doing that every single day of the week.
Yeah, man. Hey, you know what?
It's on Getsy, man. It's on Getsy. It's on Getsy at the end of the day.
It's on Getsy. Yeah,
but Getsy and the quarterbacks, too.
Yeah. Those are 2 big question marks, man. We'll see how it shakes out, man. But hey, man, we went a little bit longer than expected. But hey, man, this is a special show. Special edition show it was a schedule release. We wanted to get through the games. We want to have an idea of what could happen next season, and we were able to have a good conversation. Like I said, make sure to clock in at this point, clock out, subscribe, like the video, hit the notification bell. You guys should be seeing this on all of our channels, so make sure to hit the like button and subscribe button, all that good stuff, notification bell on all of our channels, man. We appreciate everybody coming through, man. Any last thoughts, man? You want to let the people know where they can find you, anything coming up? Big Mike?
Yeah, man. Big Mike Raider, you do the search. It's the first thing that pops up, man. Just stay tuned, man. We got some things cooking coming down the line, man. It's kind of almost at that dead point of the off season. So we're hoping for some news, but as of right now, man, it's kind of dead, man. Schedule release came out, and then after that, we got the mini camps coming in June. So yeah, we're kind of getting to that dead portion of the season right now.
Yeah. Hopefully we get a signing. Hopefully we get some type of signing, because I think we get a veteran at corner. That's one of those things that we kind of looking at that corner position like Brandon Faison. I don't know, man. Maybe we should get someone else in there to compete.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
And then if the young guys come out on top, that's what it is. Hey, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll but just let's get some more competition in the room. But Severe, man, any last thoughts? Let the people know where they can find you and what they can look forward to.
Y'all know where to find me. The Severe Raider on YouTube, the Severe Raider on IG, the Severe Raider on Snapchat, the Severe Raider on TikTok, the Severe Raider popping out on what they say. Sometimes you gotta pop out. Man, I got some stuff I'm trying to put together, man. I'm trying to put together some some film stuff on some of the draft picks, man. Just gathering some of their plays, some of their strengths and their weaknesses, and putting that together. Talking my junk over it as well. So y'all know what time it is. Get in them comment sections. Let me know how y'all feel.
Yeah, let me know if you need a collab on that too, bro.
Oh man, that would be legendary.
Man,
yeah, man. Check that out, man. Like the gentleman said, Big Mike Raider all over social media, especially YouTube, and obviously the Severe Raider all over social media. We keep it simple for y'all, man. We just keep everything the same. You know what I mean? So
that's right. All
over social media, and obviously myself, PharoahNFL. You can find me all over social media as well, including YouTube, as you see it on the screen, PharoahNFL, all that good stuff, man. Man, we appreciate everybody coming through, man. This has been a great show, man. I guess till next time. Peace.
Plenty of comments next week.
Oh my God, man.
Just win, baby. Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it.